All right, period 7, this is your production schedule. So this is what we have so far from last week. We do have 4 columns left to go, so this is the video. We're going to finish the last 4 columns. So make sure that you have a calculator app pulled up on your iPad so you can stick with me. Also make sure that you are adding stuff to the equations part of at the bottom, because I'll tell you where you need to add those equations. Stick with me, because otherwise you're going to be lost. So far we have workers, total product, marginal product, and all of our costs. The one cost that we did not get to last week was marginal costs. So that will be the first column that we're going to do today. So marginal costs is a little tricky to do. It's not impossible. Now, marginal cost, the equation that you're going to write at the bottom is going to be marginal cost at 1 worker is equal to the total cost at 1 worker minus the total cost at 0 workers, all divided by marginal product at 1 worker. Now, if that sounds and looks really confusing, I will write it out this way. Hold on. Okay, so what I said was marginal cost, that's MC, at 1 worker is equal to the total cost at 1 worker minus the total cost at 0 workers divided by marginal product at 1 worker. Okay, now this makes sense if you think about it. Okay, remember how we found marginal product? So for example, to find this 4 here, okay, we took 4 minus 0 to get 4. To get this 4 here, we did 8 minus 4 to get 4. So all we're doing for the top part is we're doing 14 minus 12, which will give us 2, obviously. But the problem is that we have to divide by marginal product, for example, 4, because here's the thing, is 14 minus 12 will give us 2, but that's the cost of making 4 more airplanes. Marginal cost is looking at how much it costs us to produce 1 more airplane. So we have to divide by however many airplanes we were able to produce when we added that 1 worker. So that's why we're going to take total cost 1 minus total cost 0 divided by marginal product at 1 worker. All right, so we're going to give this a shot. Okay, so FYI, the red's going to go away. So that's why I have this comment added here. Okay, so at 0 workers, just like marginal product, we can't do it. There is nobody that we added, nothing that was changed, so it's just a line. We can't do it. Okay? At 1 worker, we're going to take 14 minus 12, which is 2, divided by 4. So 2 divided by 4 will give us 50 cents. At 2 workers, we're going to take 16 minus 14, so the line we're on minus the line above for total cost, divided by marginal product at 2 workers. Don't divide by total product, marginal product. So 16 minus 14 is 2 divided by 4, which is another 50 cents. Oops. Sorry. Forgot to move down the line. Okay. At 3 workers, we're going to subtract 18 minus 16 divided by marginal product at 3 workers, 5. So 2 divided by 5 will give us 40 cents. At 4 workers, we're going to subtract 20 minus 18, which is 2, divided by 6, which will give us 33 cents. At 5 workers, we're going to subtract 22 minus 20, which is 2, divided by 9, which will give us, 22 cents. At 6 workers, we're going to subtract 24 minus 22, which is 2, divided by 7. 2 divided by 7 will give us 29 cents. At 7 workers, we're going to subtract 26 minus 24, which is 2, divided by 6, which will give us 33 cents again. At 8 workers, we're going to subtract 28 minus 26, divided by 5. So 2 divided by 5 will give us another 40 cents. At 9 workers, we're subtracting 30 minus 28, which is 2, divided by 4. 2 divided by 4 will give us another 50 cents. And 10 workers, we're subtracting 32 minus 30, which is 2, divided by 2, which will give us $1. And at 11 workers, we can't do this one. The reason we can't do this one is that we would divide by a negative marginal product. And if you divide by a negative marginal product, you're going to get a negative cost. That doesn't make any sense. A negative cost. So what is that? They pay you? I don't even know. So we can't do any one that has a negative marginal product. All right. Notice that all of this is money, so we have to round it to the nearest penny, so keep that in mind. All right, so that's the last cost column. Now today in notes you should have heard about total, how about I spell it correctly, total revenue. So that's the first column for revenue. So total revenue, remember, is going to be how much we are going to generate from selling our products. So imagine, if you will, we were going to sell our paper airplanes. What do you think? How much should we sell our airplanes for? Well, here's the thing, is that in order to figure out total revenue, so TR, we are going to actually take whatever the price is. So TR is the price times however many airplanes we have to sell. Well, how many airplanes we have to sell is based on our total product. So price times total product. Now underneath this, put an asterisk and say, Mrs. Stout will always tell us the price. Okay? I will always tell you the price. And in this case, for your class only, your price is going to be $1. And that's based off from basically your costs and however many you made. So your guys' price is going to be $1. If you talk to second and fifth period, they would give you different prices. So based off from your information, I'm making the price $1. So we're going to take $1 times the total product. And so for you guys, it's going to be really easy. So at 0 workers, we didn't produce anything. We had nobody to produce anything. So our total revenue is 0. At 1 worker, we produced 4 airplanes. So 4 times 1 will give us $4. At 2 workers, we produced 8 airplanes. So 8 times 1 will give us $8. At 3 workers, we're going to take 13 airplanes times 1. So will equal $13. At 4 workers, we had produced 19 airplanes, so 19 times 1 will give us $19. At 5 workers, we produced 28 airplanes, so 28 times 1 will give us $28. At 6 workers, we produced 35 airplanes, so 35 times 1 will give us $35. At 7 workers, we produced 41 airplanes, so 41 times 1 will give us $41. At 8 workers, we produced 46 airplanes, so 46 times 1 will give us $46. At 9 workers, we produced 50 airplanes, so 50 times 1 will give us $50. At 10 workers, we produced 52 airplanes, so 52 times 1 will give us $52. And at 11 workers, we produced 47 airplanes, so 47 times 1 will give us $47. Easy peasy. Okay. Next column, marginal revenue. Marginal revenue, remember from your notes, is going to be having to do with how much extra I get from selling one more item. So if you remember my discussion in the notes, how much extra you get from selling one more airplane, how much do I get? Well, duh, it's charging $1 for each one, so marginal revenue is equal to the price. So for your equations, you can write marginal revenue is equal to the price. And if I give you the price, you can figure out marginal revenue. So marginal revenue is equal to the price. So the only exception is, because it's a marginal column, you can't do 0 workers because we didn't add anything or change anything. And you can't do any of the workers where you have a negative marginal product. So 11 workers in our case, you can't do as well because it's a negative marginal product. All right, other than that, you can fill in 1 all the way down. So I'm actually going to go and copy and paste this all the way down. All right, now we come to our last column, profit or loss. Are we making money or are we losing money? Well, in order to figure that out, we are actually going to do, so profit or loss, P or L, is equal to, we had to figure out, okay, how much did we totally make from selling our airplanes compared to how much did it totally cost us to produce our airplanes? So what two columns do you suppose we're going to look at? Hopefully you said total revenue and total cost. So profit or loss is going to equal total revenue minus total cost. So profit or loss is total revenue minus total cost. So we're going to look at this column and this column. Okay? So at 0 workers, we're taking 0 minus 12, so we get a loss of $12. At 1 worker, we're going to subtract 4 minus 14 to get a loss of $10. At 8 workers, we're going to subtract 8 minus 16 to get a loss of $8. At 3 workers, we're going to subtract 13 minus 18 to get a loss of $5. At 4 workers, we're going to subtract 19 minus 20 to get a loss of $1. At 5 workers, we're going to subtract 28 minus 22. Ooh, we got a profit. We got a whopping profit of $6. At 6 workers, we're going to subtract 35 minus 24 to get a profit of $11. At 7 workers, we're going to subtract 41 minus 26 to get a profit of $15. At 8 workers, we're going to subtract 46 minus 28 to get a profit of $18. For 9 workers, we're going to subtract 50 minus 20 to get a profit of $20. For 10 workers, we're going to subtract 52 minus 32 to get a profit of $20. And for 11 workers, we're going to subtract 47 minus 34 to get a profit of $13. All right, so we finished the whole thing. Yay! Now what? Well, if you remember from your notes, I told you that you can determine 2 points from the entire production schedule. You can determine the break-even point and the profit maximizing point. So, first let's start with the break-even point. Look back in your notes. Go back. We'll go look. How can you tell where the break-even point is? Okay, hopefully you found break-even point in your notes again. And the break-even point, remember, is where your total cost and your total revenue are the same. So, do we have a point on here where they're exactly the same? You could go and compare them, just looking down the line here. Or you could go to the profit or loss column. And in the profit or loss column, if they were exactly the same, you would find a point where it was exactly 0. And yes, you will find that on this one, no, that is not the case. Okay, so does that mean there's no break-even point? No. What that means is the break-even point is actually between 2 workers. So in this case, we are actually between workers 4 and 5. Okay, this is going to be our break-even point. Why, you ask? Well, because at worker 4, we're losing money. But at worker 5, we're gaining money. We're actually making a profit. Okay, somewhere in between there, we are breaking even. Okay, our total revenue and our total costs are the same. Okay, so between where we have a loss and where we have a profit, that's our break-even point. So then somebody asks, well, how can you have 4.5 workers? No, we're not talking about midgets. We're talking about, for example, part-time people, right? You can have a part-time person, and that would be your half worker. So somewhere in there, you'd have your break-even point. All right, ultimate question then. How many workers should we actually hire? Remember, that was the question from the beginning. How many workers should we actually hire? What do you think? Hopefully you recognize this is your profit maximizing point. Probably debating between workers 9 and 10, right? Because they both have a profit of $20, which is the highest one up here. So how many should we hire? Hopefully you said 10 workers. That would be the answer. That's your profit maximizing point. Why? Because your profit maximizing point, remember from your notes, is going to be where your profit is the highest, which is the case here, but you also want your marginal cost and your marginal revenue to be the same. So that's going to be where your profit maximizing point is. Okay, that's how many workers we should hire. And inevitably, I have somebody that's like, okay, why not hire 9? I mean, they still have $20 in profit. Well, think about it this way. Why not hire 20 or 10? Okay, why not hire 10? Because, hey, at 10 workers, it's technically not costing me anything more. Okay, I still have the same amount of profit. So if you are at 10 workers, for the long run, you already have that worker there. Okay, so profit max is going to be where the profit is the highest and marginal cost and marginal revenue are the same. All right, now that said, we finished this whole thing. Now the sub is going to pass out to you a worksheet to practice this whole thing with different numbers. So they're going to pass out to you this page right here. Okay, notice at the top it gives you what your price is. Okay. Also, lots of holes. I know, don't let that freak you out. You can do this. You have the tools to be able to do this. Okay? Remember how we figured out total product, marginal product? When you get here for costs, don't freak out when you don't have a fixed cost. Remember, the only equation that you have to figure out fixed cost is total cost. So you need to figure out something, total cost minus variable cost equals fixed. You're like, okay, wait a minute. I don't have a variable cost at the same level as a total cost. Okay, we'll start here. How about $600 is how much we pay 5 workers? How much are we paying 1 worker then? Figure that one out. Okay, then you can figure out variable costs, right? Also on the bottom, it has 2 questions for you. You have to label your 3 stages of production, but then you also have to figure out your break even and your profit maximizing point, okay? Now, this worksheet, okay, this worksheet is going to be part of your notebook. On Wednesday when I come back, before we play our Kahoot, I will go through the answers with this for you, okay? So I will show them to you and I'll ask if you have any questions, okay? So make sure you have this ready to go on Wednesday. All right, please remember that I am, in any questions you have, you can email me. I am an email away, okay? Otherwise, I will see you on Wednesday.